Good afternoon, Niner faithful. Welcome to another Mailbag episode. Sad that this isn't a mailbag leading up to the Super Bowl for the San Francisco 49ers, but also very grateful for this season as a whole. I'm not going to say that this was a disappointment. I'm not going to say that, anything disparaging. I feel very much as the first comment does here. Come on Friday, put this in a few minutes before the start, saying what we learned when Jimmy spoke. The dude is even more of a class act than ever thought before. A true pro's pro. You can see why his teammates played hard for him and had his back. I totally agree with that. And the next sentiment, wish him nothing but the best. He left that quarterback room in good shape. I mean, with the comments that all of his teammates have said about him, with the comments that Trey Lance made about Jimmy Garoppolo, and with Jimmy Garoppolo's closing statements about being with the organization, expressing his love for the fan base, expressing his gratitude to the media and the role that they played throughout the entirety of this, and in indicating just how difficult it was in this season, the challenges, and talking about surrounding himself with good people. Just to me, a class act, and most definitely someone who gets my respect for what he did for the organization and gets my respect on his way out as well. And that doesn't diminish how excited I am for Trey Lance, right? It's just me acknowledging what Jimmy meant to me, what I believe Jimmy meant to this organization, what I know he meant to his teammates as they have repeatedly expressed the way in which they felt about Jimmy Garoppolo, and the impact that he had on them as a leader. And I do have to talk about that. I do have to talk about the leadership aspect and how important I believe that to be as someone who has invested in leaders throughout my career. This is a mailbag episode. For those of you who have been here before, you know how it works. I've got the previously submitted questions. I got a bunch of them this time because it's the end of the year wrap up. I always want to get to yours as well. So intermittently, in between those previously submitted questions, I will get to yours that are over there in the chat. You can help me out by putting in @Rob, @Shu, @RobShu, so that I know you're asking me a question and not just going back and forth in the chat, as is happening right now. Good energy, people, sharing their emotions, sharing their appreciation. I love what I'm seeing in the chat so far. I do ask that, as always, you keep it respectful in the chat, that you don't resort to name calling, even if you feel passionately about a particular player or anyone on the coaching staff. I always appreciate respect. I'm always a big fan of kindness. And I want to start out with a little recognition of kindness. This one is actually a nod to Ev Days. If you follow him on Twitter, it's @EverettDays. Dude just put together a rap about me, and I thought it was phenomenal, and it touched me a little bit, right? It hit me in the soft spot, in the heart. And I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, Ev, it took time to put that together. It took effort to put that together. It took skill to put that together. And it showed love and appreciation, and I appreciate that. It meant a great deal to me. I have a hard time expressing what it feels like to have people support what I'm doing here, because it is a little bit of putting yourself out there to have a YouTube channel. It is a little bit of fear as you throw your voice, your face, your name out in public and allow for people to appreciate it, not appreciate it, love it, hate it, and everything in between. And to have people express how they feel about it in a positive manner is very supportive, and I appreciate it. So, Ev, I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you to you. I wanted to thank you for putting that together. It was noticed, it was appreciated, and for anyone that didn't see it, go follow me on Twitter, and you can see what Ev put together. I also want to acknowledge everyone on the channel, everyone that has watched a video, liked a video, subscribed to the channel, joined the sneakerhead community. I had 4 different people come up to me at the game in LA and say, for everything from, "Are you Shu? Are you Shu?" to, whatever. "Are you Rob Shu? Like, do you have a YouTube channel?" And it just it meant something to me again to feel appreciated, to feel recognized. And I wanted to take a moment to thank all of those individuals and to thank all of you that are watching. It means a great deal to me to be supported in this. It was tough going getting this channel started this year, and to have everybody out there having my back, it means a lot. So cheers, Ev, all the sneakerheads, everyone that came up to me at the game, everyone that's ever liked a video, watched a video, subscribed. Cheers to you. And yes, that's the original mug. We got it back. We got it back. Cheers to all of you. I appreciate it. And that leads me into the first mailbag question, which I'm sure is on everyone's minds. Will there be future episodes of your podcast during the off season? Coming in from Nicoya's Finest 2 on Twitter. Much appreciated for the question. The answer is a resounding yes. Most definitely. There is no doubt that there will be new content coming out on a regular basis on this channel. This channel goes nowhere in the off season. Look for a full season breakdown. Look for individual game breakdowns. There will be combine coverage. There'll be free agency coverage. There will be interviews. I'm going to attempt to get players, ex-players, beat reporters, fellow content creators on the channel to talk Niners throughout the offseason. There will be draft coverage, which will be coming to you live from Las Vegas, because I will be there in the draft. One of my closest friends, Dustin Kohler, has been trying to plan this thing in Las Vegas for a long time. And so, yes, there will be live coverage from Las Vegas. I'm hoping that my buddy Mark is going to be there as well, so it'll be a trio of us. I'll have, cameramen there that can take some moving shots, and perhaps I can get them involved on their teams as well. There will be a new call-in show for anybody to get in and ask questions. So, yes, there will most definitely be new content throughout the off-season. All right, I'm going to get to one question here and then get into your comments in the chat. So keep them coming with @RobShoe. This one comes in from I'm Not Faithful to the Bay on Twitter, which I had clarified before. It doesn't mean he's anti-49ers. It just means he doesn't live in the Bay, just to clarify. Asks, can you please speak on Kyle? Jimmy sucks, but Kyle's not far behind him. First of all, I just have to say, this is no disrespect to I'm Not Faithful to the Bay. This is my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I do not subscribe to either of these assertions. I do not subscribe to the idea that Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. I do not subscribe to the idea that Kyle Shanahan sucks. Jimmy is, in my humble opinion, somewhere between the 15th and the 20th best quarterback in the NFL, which means he is the 15th to 20th best quarterback in the world. In the world. Let that sink in. Imagine if you were the 20th best at something, anything on this planet, and people kept trying to tell you, you suck. If I were the 20th best personality on YouTube and anyone told me I sucked, I would laugh in their face. If I were Jimmy Garoppolo, it would be hard not to let these comments get to me, but on some level, it would be laughable. It is absolutely laughable to use that language. Kyle is top 10, maybe even top 5 as far as coaches in the world. So take everything I just said about Jimmy and multiply it, multiply the intensity of how I feel about it when talking about Kyle. In the future, if folks do want me to take questions like this more seriously, to get a little more in depth on why I feel that way, you got to change your language here. Words matter. When you say Jimmy sucks, it's easy to just say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but he doesn't. And pretty much every statistic, every qualified NFL scout, every front office in the league would tell you otherwise. The simple fact that the 49ers are going to trade him to another team for assets coming back should tell you otherwise. Words matter. So instead, you could say Jimmy's an inconsistent quarterback, or this team would be better off with a true game manager that didn't make as many mistakes, or we'd be better off with Trey, a more talented quarterback that balances out their mistakes with more shot plays that can actually push the ball down the field in ways that Jimmy can't or doesn't. If you look at Kyle Shanahan, Kyle would be scooped up by another team so fast your head would frickin' spin. It absolutely, he would if you let him go. Kyle would be worth multiple first-round picks in a trade right now. I guarantee that. Jimmy is going to get traded for at least a second-round pick. My belief is a second and a fourth, and perhaps the second is a conditional first-rounder if the new team makes the playoffs and Jimmy plays more than 75% of the games. You don't trade those assets for a trash individual. All right, I want to get into your comments to make sure that I am representing. Man, you guys are flooding. Make sure you hit the @Rob or @RobShoe so that I don't get lost in these comments. Got to start with Sean951Niners. Sneakerhead coming in with the chat. Rob, I want to say thank you for 2021. You've been a blessing to the faithful. Your channel, vision, analysis, openness to have us join you in your pursuit of covering the 49ers, our beloved team, is awesome. 2022 will be 100. Sean, I appreciate that. Sean is one of these people that has been supportive throughout, has been here to do what he can to make the channel a better place, to contribute on the channel, to provide his insight on the channel. You know Sean from calling in on the Sneakerhead call-in show. You know him being here in the chat, contributing quality dialogue. It is, again, I just have to take a moment to say thank you to all of you that have supported the channel and been here. And yes, Mark, I'm excited too about getting the mug back. Ellis10, another sneakerhead. There is excitement for the mug. I'm telling you. Yes, indeed. Had to do the indeed on that one. Okay. Let me try to get to your questions here. There are a lot of them, so I apologize in advance if I miss any of these. I apologize in advance. Ooh, E. Kim, @Rob, what destinations are you going to visit next season? Hold on. Let me type this in. 49ers 2022 schedule. I had already picked out, of course it gives me CSUB. Who wants Cal State Long Beach or whatever it is? Here we go. San Francisco 49ers. All right. All dates and times to be determined. Ooh, is that real? Do we play New Orleans next year? In New Orleans? Oh, no, that's home. Okay, so the @s. Yes, at Las Vegas. I will be there at Las Vegas, at Denver, and at Atlanta. I think those are the three I'm targeting right now. Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Denver, and then potentially Chicago. I loved Chicago, man. I was just there after Green Bay. I stopped into Chicago. So those four I've got my eye on. 4 freaking road games. Let's see if we can't make that happen. Karthik coming in. We got a question from Karthik later just asking how I'm doing. I'm doing better. I am doing better. And he says he changed his avatar. It's a little small for me to see it right now, so I can't actually zoom in. Says he changed his avatar. Do I like it? I can't tell what it is at the moment. Randall Riley, I totally agree. Jimmy's just a class act. And E. Kim clarifying, yeah, stadiums I haven't been to. All 4 of those would be stadiums I have yet to be at. You can see now, I have my Green Bay pin in there from the game at Lambeau. Yes. All right, Karthik saying @Rob, at least you get some rest and relaxation knowing all the trips you made this season. Have a good offseason. I appreciate that. Ev is in the building. @RobShoe, what has been the best part of creating the sneakerhead community this past season? The dialogue. The fact that it is not a one-sided conversation. I am talking to people, but people are talking back to me and not talking back. They're speaking with me. And that to me is the magic of this platform. It's being able to actually interact. And I appreciate it. I truly do. Steven @RobShoe, think it's Trey Bay time now? I absolutely think it is. I do think it's Trey time. Ricardo, man, I'm so sad. It was our championship. Agreed. Raphael 5629ers, another sneakerhead. At Rob, D'Amico Ryans coming back is a huge W. I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. E. Kim, at Rob, your thoughts on Brian Flores' lawsuit today against the NFL? I think that the NFL has a lot of work to do there. I believe that Miami should be pretty disgraced at what's going down. And if I were Mike McCarthy, I would walk away from that opportunity. I know there are only 32 positions in the NFL, and it's very rare to get one. Being the offensive coordinator for Kyle Shanahan, I think you're going to get more opportunities to come, especially if you help launch Trey Lance's career, and you could end up in a quality organization, not one like the Miami Dolphins, as they have shown themselves to be with this lawsuit, which I believe the NFL has a lot of work to do there. Randall Riley, Rob, just keep being you. Your positive vibes are the reason why most of us are here. Trolls be damned. Laughing my ass off. Amen to that. Thank you for all of the kind wishes. All right, I got to try and catch up a little bit. So again, if you have a question I missed, put it back in. At Rob Shoe, depth chart for next year. Who will be lost in free agency? I'll get to that in just a little bit. We have a specific question that came in about that one. I can't hit on all of them right away, but over this offseason, you're damn right that I will. All right, Silent Seth, another sneakerhead coming in. At Rob Shoe, if you're Jimmy Garoppolo and John Lynch offers you a restructured deal but with less money to come back for next year, do you accept it or cut your losses and head to a new team? If I'm Jimmy G, I'm done. I don't want any more of the drama. And so, yes, if I'm Jimmy G, I'm not accepting more money. I am headed out the door, and going somewhere that wants me. I think that is important. Karthik saying I should get an interview with Fred Warner. Thoughts? That would be phenomenal. Stephen Mandler. At Rob Shoe, think we should sign Calvin Ridley? I'm not sure he's available as a free agent. Is he? I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still a member of the Falcons and still on that rookie deal. All right, getting forward. Stottle. At Shoe, did Kyle get a new contract? He got an extension earlier, but no, not since that extension. Emmanuel. Rob, we need at least one DJ Jones barbecue sauce appearance every single live stream in the offseason, at least until DJ Jones signs again with us. DJ Jones. Yes, my man. We will get that in. Truth told, not sold. At Rob, Super Bowl appearance in 2 NFC Championship games. Only a blind, ignorant fan would think otherwise. He's not trash. I think it's people with strong emotional opinions. I believe that is the difference, but I agree. It's an extreme position to take. All right, I got to flash forward a little bit. Here we go. The recovery, 716. At Rob, that was tough to see Jimmy's goodbye message. He brought the 49ers back to relevancy. I've always liked Jimmy, but we got to bring in the kid since we traded so much for him. I agree with both of those. I thought that Jimmy's farewell presser was touching, and toward the end it definitely caught me a little bit as feeling like, man, it's over. And I wanted to tip my cap to Jimmy and wish him the best and say that I'm thrilled for Trey Lance. I mean, I am super excited for next year. I have no doubts about the level that Trey Lance can bring us to. Ricardo. At Rob, you are the real GOAT, not TB12. Great content. I feel represented. You should give away a mug. Nothing but love, my man. Let's go Niners. Yes, I now have additional mugs. We got the new mug that we brought. Whoa, I'm dropping my little coaster here. We got the new mug that I brought in. We got the original mug, and we got lots of other mugs that we brought in here. So I am going to do mug giveaways this week. Count on it. Look for the shows later this week. There will be some mug giveaways. Matter of fact, first mug giveaway will be tomorrow night on Between Two Beards with myself and Randon. Look for a mug giveaway. Emmanuel coming in. Kyle just needs to understand to manage the clock better when winning in the fourth, to make sure his best players get the ball in the fourth, to call plays to win the game and not to lose it. Emmanuel, these are areas Kyle Shanahan does need to improve. I can totally agree with that freaking sentiment. Totally agree with that. That's a fair criticism right there. If you want to know what I believe to be a fair criticism, this is it. I agree. He needs to get better in those areas. Mark coming in. Got to come to Chicago. Hey, I will be there, Mark. You let me know if you're going to be there as well. It'd be great to meet up. I've totally enjoyed. Matt, he and I met at the Green Bay game. That was phenomenal. Chris, he and I met at the Seattle game. Also phenomenal. I love meeting people from the channel. It is a highlight for me. No joke. Pete coming in with the super chat. All the negativity Jimmy G got from the sports media, especially from ESPN, Jimmy was still a class act. I wish him all the best. Very well said, Pete. Very well said. He is a class act. Teams recognize that. Teams recognize what he brings as a leader, and I guarantee he will help out whatever team he's with as a leader, as a quarterback. He will add to their franchise as he added to ours. Karthik asking, do I have a merch store? No, but I am working with artists right now to get merch. It's been a little while. Christmas really screwed it up, and then the playoffs made me frantic, but there is merch on the way. Mark wants to know mug giveaways? Yes, there will be. All right, Joe Stoll coming in. Keep being that positivity, Rob. Yesterday was rough, man. What are your plans for the offseason with streaming? What was worse, Sunday or the 2013 NFC Championship game? I will say I was much more emotionally dejected after the Seahawks loss because of the way in which that played out, because of the negativity of the Seahawks fans when I was there in Seattle. I also was alone at that game. At this one, I was with my best friend. And so he was there and emotionally consoled me, right? I wasn't actually that down. I was much more appreciative of what this team had been through. And I think my expectations had lowered after that 3-5 start. And so there was appreciation for what we had been through this year. There was appreciation for the fight in this team, the heart in this team. And I just immediately went to that place of gratitude this year. Bro Montana, how about exclusive buying rights of the mug only for sneakerheads? You want the mug, you must become a sneakerhead. Bro Montana, I think I love that idea, but I do want people who are not sneakerheads to also feel included in the channel on some level. I want to show extra love to sneakerheads, no question. And so that sounds good, but I think it violates YouTube's freaking agree. There's something weird about you can't do something. I got to read the rules because you can't violate YouTube's rules. But yes, I definitely will make it either easier for sneakerheads or there will be some exclusive stuff for sneakerheads as always. All right, let me get over to some of the previously submitted questions. I will be back in again. Hit the @Rob Shoe. If I missed it, if it was before Bro Montana's super chat and it was a good one, copy and paste it back in. If it was just a general one, you can leave it be. All right, let me get to these previously submitted questions. Okay, this was another one that was a little bit negative, but how long before we are rid of Jimmy G and his terrible contract arm, decision-making, etc.? Also, do we cut him or do we trade him for whatever we can get, which probably won't be much? Mario B coming in. He actually went further in that question after saying, which probably won't be much. He said, if you are spiteful, I think you trade him to Texas and watch him expose himself as bad more. I would never do that. I don't know why you would want to be spiteful against Jimmy Garoppolo after everything he put up with, after the year that he went through. I get fans' frustration, but man, I cannot understand wishing him anything but the best. I have zero spite towards Jimmy Garoppolo. I have zero animosity towards Jimmy Garoppolo. I have gratitude for what he did for this organization from the time that he came in 2017 and ignited a fan base that was dejected. Even with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch behind the helm, it was a brutal season to go through in 2017. When Jimmy came in, he lit the world on fire, and that gave us enthusiasm for this franchise. 2019, magical season. 2021, magical season. Three out of the 5 seasons Jimmy was in were magical because of him. The 5-game win streak in 2017, magical. The 2019 one where we got the number 1 seed and made it to the Super Bowl, and oh, by the way, lost to Patrick Mahomes, magical. This season, 3-5, Jimmy with Trey Lance breathing down his neck. We come back and end up in the NFC Championship game, only 3 points down in the loss. Man, I'm appreciative of what that guy brought. I'm appreciative of the experiences. I say thank you. No spite. No spite. So I say he most definitely gets traded. And the key date, as far as I understand it, now I do think that he and his agent will be able to seek out the trade terms before this, but the trade, I don't believe, will actually be able to go down until March 16th. The 2022 league year and free agency period begin at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 16th. These are the league rules that I'm reading off now. The first day of the 2022 league year will end at 11:59 p.m. New York time on March 16th. Clubs will receive a personnel notice that will include all transactions submitted to the league office during the period between 4 p.m. New York time and midnight, basically, New York time on March 16th. The trading period for 2022 begins at 4 p.m. New York Standard Time after expiration of all 2021 contracts. So I think that we'll hear before then where Jimmy's going to get traded to, but it will not actually be processed until the 16th, March 16th. I believe Jimmy gets his wish. I think he's traded to a winning team. He's the kind of quarterback that a winning team would want to bring in if they can't acquire or can't afford one of the elite options. This is a weird year where there are going to be some elite names available at quarterback. Some guys getting traded, some maybe negotiating their release. Anyone that wants to win right away and can't get one of those is going to look at Jimmy Garoppolo. He's somebody that can come in and win right away. Perfect for a team like the Steelers, who I've said multiple times, who have a solid team and compete to win every single year. Next question, which free agent positions or targets would you like to see and think are actually probable? Coming from Kyle D. As far as specific targets, I'm going to wait until players actually reach free agency. The legal tampering window opens up on March 14th this year. But my list of positional priority, the positions that I believe that the Niners should target. Again, the actual free agents, I'll have many specials on that, but those will be as we get closer and we actually know who reaches free agency. My list of positional priority, number 1, speed edge rusher to replace what Dee Ford was supposed to and did bring in parts of 2019 in the games that he played. Number 2, cornerback. Enough said. I don't need to explain that one. Number 3, offensive line. I'm still hopeful for Banks, but Mack is another year older. Brunskill wasn't terrific in pass protection this season. McGlinchey is coming back off of a huge injury and wasn't spectacular in pass protection before that. And Laken Tomlinson is a free agent. So offensive line, big time priority for me. Backup quarterback. To me, you cannot have Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld as your quarterback room. Can you? I don't think so. I don't think that flies. With the type of player that Trey is, I think you need one of those $8 or $9 million backups. One of those quality backups. That's my guess. Safety. My guess is, unfortunately, that Jaquiski Tartt is gone. I'm not sure that Hufanga can step up and step right into that role. And even if he does, you're going to need depth anyway. So safety is in there. Running back, I think we can find a better third down back over JaMychal Hasty. Not throwing shade his way, but I would say in the room, that would be the weakest of the positions needed to be filled. And then special teams ace. Maybe I even throw this one above running back. We need a dedicated gunner or return man or both. This unit needs help. And that help is going to come from some investment there. The Patriots do a great job of that. They have their one gunner that they've invested in over and over and over again. They pay more than market value for him because of the value that they get in return. And think back to the Harbaugh era, having Ted Ginn, how big of a difference he was, how big of a difference it was when he wasn't out there. All right, getting back into your comments, making sure that I stay up with it. Again, at Rob Shoe. We got a lot. I'll try to catch up. Luke Luna, at Rob Shoe, feel for Jimmy for what he's done for the franchise, but also if he hadn't gotten hurt after him bringing the juice, he would have stayed. His injuries hurt the team, but when healthy, deep runs. That's a true statement. I mean, if he had not gotten injured in 2020, who knows what the Niners would have done this past offseason. It may have changed things. They may have still felt that they wanted an upgrade at talent, but it's tough to say. BK from the Bay. Rob Shoe, Kyle needs to be more creative on special plays with Debo and on fourth down with punters. Keep them guessing. Interesting. I actually would simplify a little bit. When people talk about the Rams offense, they often talk about oversimplification, but I do think that that's an advantage at times. I would simplify a little in those high-pressure moments. Karthik saying, at Rob, this team reminded me of the 2013 Niners. Thoughts? Not 2019 as much. That's an interesting one. I hadn't considered it. I would need to draw some parallels there. Off the top of my head, this team is pretty unique on their own, I would say. Joe Stull, at Rob, I completely agree with you about the Seahawks loss. F the Seahawks. Yeah, that was a painful one in the NFC Championship game. Oh, Raphael, talking about the Giants, the 2011 NFC Championship game hit me the worst. I was there at that one too. That was rough, real rough. I'm not even going to say the name that you all know I'm thinking of. When I said Ted Ginn, you thought of the other name. JT Hester, at Shoe, why don't you have an Instagram? I do. I actually have multiple Instagrams. They're just for cars. I should develop an Instagram. I should get a TikTok. I should probably get a couple of different accounts that link to this one. That's a great suggestion, JT. Bro Montana, at Rob, okay, I hear you. All good, brother. Hey, I appreciate that. Archon Jedi, at Rob Shoe, Brian, ooh, did you hear that? Whatever that was, it just blip, 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 blip. At Rob Shoe, Brian Flores suing the NFL. It's going to get spicy. New England involved with the Giants. Yes, it is definitely going to get spicy. I'm intrigued. Karthik, at Rob, thoughts on the linebacker depth for next season? I'll actually touch on that a little bit later. All right. Abhinav Reddy, at Rob Shoe, I'm a huge fan. Love your shows. Please let me know if I mispronounced that. What big name should we target in free agency? Also, do you think we need a new quarterback coach to help Trey and also go all in on this season like the Rams did? I'm going to get to both of those questions in a little bit. Stick with me because there are previously submitted questions that have the answers you're searching for. CT Law with the super chat coming in. Did you see Jimmy's speech? Brady rumors. Could it be Brady going to 49's, Jimmy G to Tampa, and this deal has been done for a while? CT Law, that would be wild. I had the thought before Brady's retirement, when the news came out he was retiring, and then his dad was like, no, he's actually not retiring, and we hadn't heard from Tom yet, I thought maybe he wants to end his career in San Francisco. He said he wants to do that. I don't think that's the case. Now that Brady has come out and said that he's going to retire, I can't imagine that he undoes. Maybe he does, though. I mean, he's the kind of guy that is not afraid of attention and certainly not afraid to take some heat if he needs to. Man, that's a tough one. I'd be there for it. I would be there for it if he did. I don't think that Jimmy would end up in Tampa, though. My top pick for Jimmy is Pittsburgh. Sean 951 Niners, end of season mailbag. 150 peeps in here. Hit that like. No reason not to be a sneakerhead. We're the Shoe family, faithful, and let's grow Rob's show. Appreciate that, Sean. Appreciate that a lot, man. Cheers to you. Hey, I appreciate all the support, whether you are here as a person watching, whether you've hit the like button, whether you've subscribed, or, you know, whether you're a sneakerhead. Love anyone that supports the channel in any way, and I'm appreciative of all of you. All right, I will get back to some of the comments, but always have to prioritize those super chats. Hope people appreciate that. Man, when you watch this from that Niner guy, man, when you watch the all 22, you get more frustrated because Jimmy left yards on the field, trying to stay positive. But man, I know Kyle Shanahan pulling his remaining hair out should still be playing. I will add that Niner guy. Yes, plays left on the field by Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe the defense when they talk about themselves leaving plays on the field. Yes, I realize that the Rams only scored 20 in this one, and they're a high-flying offense. And I would say that if you asked each individual player on offense, on defense, I mean, look at the run game, the inability to get the run game going. You know that Kyle Shanahan has regrets. You know Mike McDaniel has regrets. You know every single one of the offensive linemen has regrets. You know Debo has regrets. You know Elijah Mitchell has regrets. Each one of them left a little something out on the field in this one. Yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is certainly among those. It's just he's the one who touches the ball most frequently, and therefore where he left him on the field, they're the most glaring. HBO is AceBO says, hey, what's good, Rob? If you had the chance to meet 3 current 49ers, who would it be, and what would you say to them? That's tough off the cuff. So this is not, I haven't given this a ton of thought, so don't hold me to it, but Debo, Trey Lance, who would be the third? Trent Williams. Debo, I would be in awe of the season. I would compliment him. I would compliment Debo on the heart that he showed in this one. Trey Lance, it would be more of just meeting the future of the franchise, knowing the role he's going to play going forward. And I would probably want to pick his brain about what the experience was like being in the backseat of all the drama that unfolded this season, all the chaos on social media. Like, he was aware of that, but couldn't say anything. He had thoughts that he wanted to share, but wasn't invited to the pressers because the Niners wanted to shield him from all of that. I would want to pick his brain about that. And then Trent Williams, my God, I would want to speak with him about playing through injury. I would want to speak again, much like Debo, speak about heart. Because that's what I feel about this team, that they have heart. Malk the Believer. Rob, I love you, man. Watching Jimmy G say goodbye to the faithful almost made me cry. I love this 49ers team and will always ride or die San Francisco 49ers. Next year with Trey, we'll be in the Super Bowl. We will be in the Super Bowl, he says. I love the optimism, and I'm with you that I was touched by Jimmy's presser on his way out. I am grateful to Jimmy. I am ready to move on to Trey. Very excited for the Trey Lance era. Very excited for the, added element that he's going to bring to the offense. Extremely excited for the future, just as you are, Malk the Believer. 2022 will be lit. Joe Stull. Jed should hit up TB12. Tom, obsessed with winning and obsessed with Santa Clara. I mean, the man grew up in San Mateo. He's from the Bay. He wants a picturesque ending. I don't know. I have a hard time believing he unretires to come back, but that also kind of seems like a total Brady thing to do. All right, looking at the comments, bringing in... Hey, I got the name right. I am pleased with that. All right, Bryant Culp coming in. What's up, Bryant? Good to see you. At Rob, I've been saying it all season, one game at a time. This last game, I think we overlooked as fans. I agree with that, and I tried to send that sentiment out on the shows. I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer on that, but I felt that fans were so confident, and I predicted a win, and I felt good in that prediction. And hell, we came real close to winning it. Let's not kid ourselves. But I thought the faithful really thought it was a foregone conclusion. Well, you beat them 6 times in a row, and I think it gave Rams fans a lot of ammunition. I think they were pretty damn loud in the stands, and I do think they took some slight at us overlooking them to some extent. Luke Luna, at Rob Shue, do you think we target a cornerback with our first pick or sign a proven stud but have less money? The draft obviously gets you a guy for less and longer, but risk is higher. I think we go edge rusher first, cornerback second. So if we get a second rounder for Jimmy, I think we take the earlier second rounder and go edge rusher, and then I think we invest in a cornerback after that. I believe that we go for a more veteran free agent signing as a cornerback. And maybe if we get a good enough veteran free agent, that even lowers the draft pick that we put in for that position as well. Maybe we only put another third rounder in there. All right, getting back to some of the previously submitted questions. Again, put your comments in the chat with @RobShoe. If I missed it, I got up to 538, about 2 minutes behind. If I missed your comment, feel free to copy and paste it back in one more time. Please don't spam it back in. That makes it hard to read. But please feel free to put it in there again. All right, next one that was submitted said, what are your thoughts on what Peter Schrager said about Trey Lance? He didn't blow people away. Coming from What You Talking About, Willis. I listened to the clip that What You Talking About, Willis forwarded along with that. And I interpreted it a bit more as he didn't hear much coming out of the 49ers camp. That what he talked about was, hey, in the year that for the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was sitting behind Alex Smith for the entire year. He was hearing whisperings from Kansas City that was like, dude, you got to see what this kid is doing at practices. You got to see the talent that this guy has. It's taking the top off of this thing. And so he was hearing that throughout the year. And then obviously he came in and played the 16th game of that season before the Chiefs went into the playoffs. And then he took over the next year. What he said was, I did not hear that from the 49ers this season. I interpret that in that it doesn't faze me very much. I interpret that to mean that just that the Niners don't leak unless they want to. Under this regime, with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch coming in, unless they want the information out there, it doesn't get out there. And they caused enough second guessing with the Trey acquisition. I don't think they wanted the heat that would have come from more positive reports about Trey during the season. Imagine if at 3-5, you had also already heard reports that said, well, Trey Lance is the next Patrick Mahomes. Just look at him in practices. That would have forced Kyle Shanahan almost to switch to from Jimmy Garoppolo. And I don't think he wanted to do that at that time. Now, it also is reflective of Trey Lance not beating out Jimmy Garoppolo. But again, I think that their plan was always to develop Trey slowly. That's why they kept Jimmy. That's why they paid him $25 million. They executed on that plan. The situations are also different for me because Chiefs fans weren't trying to run Alex Smith out of town just yet. They were ready to move on as a game manager, but there wasn't the disdain that there was from some 49ers fans for Jimmy Garoppolo, I think mistakenly. All right, here's another question coming in from Twitter from Rick. What would you do? Go all in for a Super Bowl and potentially be a bad team for the next 3 to 4 years, or be reserved and potentially make the playoffs for the next 3 to 4 years and have a small chance at the Super Bowl? It's a tough call. This is a tough call. To me, making the playoffs matters. It absolutely matters. Winning seasons, making the playoffs, that matters. I'm proud of this year. If the question were, would I trade a 6th Lombardi trophy for sucking for 4 years after that? Hell yes. My answer would be a resounding hell yes, because winning a Lombardi trophy is very difficult, as evidenced by our inability to do it in the last 29 freaking years, 28 freaking years, going on 29. But obviously, even in this hypothetical, a Super Bowl win isn't guaranteed, but it seems more like the hypothetical is, would you take a big risk to give yourself a strong chance at a Super Bowl versus a weaker chance over multiple years? To me, I take the winning consistently model. To me, consistent production, because the greater number of chances for all things to go right and win a Super Bowl comes from being in the playoffs more frequently. The NFL is a one-and-done playoff format. You all know that. And therefore, the better team doesn't always win. So the more bites you get at the apple, the better, in my humble opinion. If you just had one before the window closes, that's tough. I would rather win consistently. All right, getting back to your comments in the chat. All right, continue scrolling down for @Rob's, @RobShoes. Truth told, not sold. @Rob, I appreciate Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch keeping it 100 with Jimmy G from the gate. I do too. I'm glad that they were communicating with him. I feel like they were pretty honest throughout as to what their intentions were. They stuck with it. We speculated to no end, but they were pretty consistent throughout. Luke Walsh, @RobShoe, was Brady's contract expired? If not, the Bucs would have to trade Brady to the 49ers if he unretired. I do think it expired. I think he had a 2-year deal. I'd have to double check that because I haven't looked into it. but I believe it did expire. Caligula, another sneakerhead coming in. At Rob, what about the backup quarterback next season when Trey Lance is starting? Should the Niners go for a vet with experience, or is Sudfeld the right choice? What about a new punter? Wisnowski's performance was weak. I disagree about Wisnowski. I think we need I guess we've got Robbie Gould next year as well. The problem is we need someone for kickoffs. Wisnowski is not a great kickoff man, but he's a good punter. He is a good punter. So that's a conundrum. Because you have Robbie Gould, who's older, who also doesn't have a cannon for a leg, you're left in that middle ground with kickoffs. And that's tough because the Niners return specialists, their return coverage units are not great either. That would be why I'd invest in a quality gunner. I answered the quarterback question a little bit earlier talking about I don't think you can go in with Trey Lance and Nate Sudfeld. I do think you need to spend on one of the veteran quarterbacks out there, and I'm thinking the Niners will spend in that $8 to $9 million range for that. Stories from the attic. At Rob Shue, who would you rather have starting at quarterback for the Niners next season, Trey or Aaron Rodgers? Man, if we're just talking talent, I mean, I'll go with the veteran who has the best arm in the NFL right now. If we're talking drama and all the BS he brings with him, how about Trey? Let's move on to Trey. So when I look at the entire picture, I'm glad we got Trey Lance. Bryant Culp coming in. At Rob, I'm always here to enjoy your show. Just can't always jump in the chat. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to say that. All right, Godzilla. At Rob Shue, the 49ers haven't had a consistent winning quarterback for more than 2 years since Jeff Garcia. Should we be worried? No, we should be optimistic and patient with Trey Lance. Very, very patient. Roe talking about before I sign off, right on for the content, Rob, one of my favorite channels, man. Appreciate that, Roe. I appreciate anytime people come in to express their gratitude. I want to express mine right back. Malk the Believer. At Rob Shue, my favorite YouTuber and only Niner guy I watch. Appreciate that, man. All right, here we go. Pete. At Rob, Brady retiring, Rodgers moving to the AFC. I think it will be easier to get in the playoffs next year. I hope so. I do hope so. Philip saying, at Rob, putting a run at the Super Bowl ahead of Lance's development is short-sighted and bad priorities. Are you saying that about this season, or if the Niners did something next season to make a run? Because I think that actually protecting Trey this year and focusing on his development, giving him the full offseason to work on his throwing mechanics this year, I actually think the Niners protected Trey in this one. I realize he could have gotten experience this season, but I actually like the strategy of slow rolling with the quarterback. I'm very well aware, having watched some players come out too quickly. Alex Smith was one of them. David Carr was another. These are different teams that I'm referencing, and I'm not saying that necessarily would have happened to Trey, but I'm okay with the slow way in which the 49ers are developing Trey Lance. Got to just say what's up to Bay Area Baller coming in. What's up, Bay Area? All right. Luke Luna coming in. Should be interesting, but the D-line was good and got better as a unit the more they played together. I think they need depth at cornerback to back up the times they don't get home. I agree with that. Need depth at cornerback. That's why I would go free agent for a vet cornerback and then invest in the late second, third, or fourth round for another cornerback to get that depth. Luke Walsh. At Rob Shue, the 49ers' first pick is currently 61st overall. Barring a great draft pick for Jimmy G, will there be a good edge rusher or corner at 61? There should be a decent speed rusher at 61, trying to replace what D Ford was on the other side of that line. Oftentimes, those guys who are specifically speed guys can be had just a little bit later. You may have to get up into the mid-second round for that, but I think that's what we're going to get back for Jimmy. Sean 951 Niners. We have stars at each level. Win now. Missing an elite quarterback. This team would be a Super Bowl contenders for years to come. Brady gone. Rodgers on the move. It's NFC West time. Trey has a lot of pressure with our core. I do agree. I think there'll be a lot of pressure, but I would preach patience to the Niner faithful. All right, this is a hypothetical because obviously Harbaugh's just been reported to take the Vikings job. Tip of the cap, I love Coach Harbaugh. I'm sad he's going to be in the NFC. That makes me sad. At Rob Shue, would you take Harbaugh at head coach and demote Kyle to offensive coordinator just for fun? If I could get that pairing, if Kyle would not be, well, I'm out of here. If he was like, hey, I get it. I'm not great at clock management. I need help. And I would take Harbaugh. Yes, if he agreed to it, if Kyle said, I'll be the offensive coordinator and Harbaugh can be the head coach, yes, I would take that pairing in a heartbeat. William Bennett coming in here, a regular contributor on the Sneakerhead call-in show. What's up, William? Hey, faithful, we had a hell of a run. Great way to send Jimmy out. Ready for Trey. My new saying for your show, if the shoe fits. William, that actually was my tagline when I wrote for University of the Pacific. I used to cover NCAA basketball, and I thought it was clever for my column. So if you go back and find episodes of the Pacifican, not episodes, magazines, what do you call newspapers? Newspaper clippings of the Pacifican with Rob Shue in it, you would see that tagline, if the shoe fits. You are welcome to use that. Cheers to you. All right, I see V Breezy coming in here. At Rob, what team do you think Jimmy thrives in? My top pick is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Ooh. I got to put somebody in a timeout for saying something that I don't know if they intended to be derogatory, not towards me, but towards people in general. And if you just got put in a timeout, I think you know what comment that was for. Please don't do that again. Please do not. Malk the Believer, at Rob Shue. Hey, Rob, 2 out of 3 NFC Championship games ain't bad. Hells yes, we rock. It ain't bad at all. That Niner guy. One thing I will say, this team is primed to get back with Lance, low cap hit. Just need to upgrade the O-line, right side, slot corner, pro backup quarterback. Hey, those are good targets. I think Mike McGlinchey coming back should help with the right tackle spot. I know some people aren't wild about it. Aaron Banks could end up being a solid right guard. He was asked to make the switch from left guard to right guard. That's tough to do. He needed to get in the NFL weight room. He will have a full year, so there's potential there. I agree, though. Slot corner, if you cannot re-sign K'Wan Williams, is a priority, and definitely think you need a backup quarterback. Definitely. All right, Keith Murphy coming in. Rob, you're right. I'd rather have a Tomlin or Harbaugh type run where you're relevant every year. Just give yourself a chance every year. I'm telling you, there's something nice to that, being relevant every single year. Glass City coming in. Appreciate that. Rob, the all 22 shows it. The offensive line was a disaster. Missed block assignments, atrocious pass protection. The Rams absolutely dominated at the trenches. I still feel sick. Exhaustion clearly took its toll Sunday night. Niner for life. That was my feeling as well. They lost in the trenches in this one. And I do think that being on the road for 3 consecutive weeks, high pressure games for even more weeks than that, eventually begins to wear on a team. And I thought that it showed up a little bit in our inability to run the ball. We got after Stafford, not as well as we did in week 18, not as well as we did in games prior, but I thought we generated pressure on Stafford, not as much as I would have liked, but on the offensive line, they were just unable to get off. And certainly Trent Williams' injury hurt that, but I agree that to me, it was the protection up front was one of the biggest reasons. There were a lot of reasons. And for those of you yelling about, well, it's Jimmy's fault. I agree. Jimmy Garoppolo left plays on the field. I am not saying he didn't. I just want to give the complete picture of why we struggled against the Rams and specifically why our offense couldn't put up more than 17 points. To me, it was the failure to be able to get the run game going. And that was because of being incapable of getting that push along the offensive line. I have to agree with Glass City here. Glass City, I appreciate you coming in with the big donation. That is appreciated. All right, Eric Rent saying, at Rob Shue, when will Sermon become running back number 1? I don't think he does. I don't think Elijah Mitchell lets up his role, and I won't be surprised. I'll touch on this later. Will not be surprised if Mostert is back. That would not surprise me. Malk the Believer, at Rob Shue, when will you have a call-in show again? Every Thursday, the Sneakerhead call-in show will be live, and I am going to definitely I am definitely going to bring in a call-in show for everybody. For everybody. Sucka saying, I seen some sketchy comments, Rob. Yeah, I saw one that was definitely sketchy. Sometimes I miss them because I can't get by. I can't read every single comment, especially like right now when they're flooding in. But when I see one that kind of crosses a border, it's an instant timeout. If I see one that is like, whoa there, then it's a block. Then you're out. Stories from the attic. At Rob Shue, do you think Russell Wilson will be a Seahawk next season? And if not, where do you think he will go? I get the feeling he's not going to be a Seahawk. I have no idea where he ends up. He has talked about wanting to be in a major market, right? He's married to, is it Rihanna that he's with? Is that correct? I'm sure I'll be corrected in the comments. But anyway, he has expressed wanting to be in a major market. I just don't know where he fits, but I don't think it's Seattle anymore. Alrighty, O'Reilly. At Rob Shue, if Green Bay can't be happy, no one can be happy. Good game, San Francisco. Great content, Rob. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, I wish that somebody could be. I wish I could be happy, quite honestly, but it didn't go our way this season. Truth told, not sold. At Rob, what's the news on the Dolphins? What did I miss? The Dolphins apparently with several things happened, and I couldn't accurately say everything that came out, but there were some accusations made by Brian Flores in a lawsuit filed against the Dolphins and the NFL about racist hiring practices, and specifically about the Dolphins trying to tank the first year that he was there, offering him a cash payment of $100,000 per game that he lost after having started a rough at the beginning of the year. And obviously, in that first season, they started to come back. It looked like they were going to get the number 1 overall pick, and then they started winning games. Apparently, Stephen Ross offered Mr. Flores $100,000 per loss. That's not a great culture, paying someone to lose. D-Flow, how big of an extension will Bosa and Debo get? Huge. They're going to get a bag, and they both deserve it. They're going to be backloaded contracts because that cap will explode in a little bit in 2023, most specifically. Richie coming in. Hey, Rob, love your show. Hope they bring Mostert back. If Debo is our best coming out of the backfield, then seems like we need more help in the backfield. I think with Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon hopefully showing us more next year, and then bringing somebody in the draft, later round is fine because we find those gems. And I would re-sign Mostert as long as we don't get into a bidding war with anybody. That to me is a solid backfield. I just want to upgrade from Sierra is the one. Yes, it is Sierra. So yeah, I want to upgrade our third down back, which is currently Jamichael Hasty. I will definitely do a call-in show. People talking about that. Definitely will do a call-in show where it's just voice, and that way I can have everybody on. I go with just the video for sneakerheads because sneakerheads are invested in the channel and no weird stuff is going to go down because these are people that support what I'm doing. Because you take some risk when you bring people on live. E. Kim, sneakerhead, saying, at Rob, I'm not optimistic about a 2022 Super Bowl run. My basis for this is the 2014 and 2020 seasons. I would say the 2020 season was a complete anomaly, so I don't think you can compare any other season to that. 2014, that's fair. After you go deep in the playoffs a couple of years in a row, you get tired. But the Niners had a year off in 2020 where they didn't make a deep run. So I would say that it's fair for you to have those reservations. I think for me, the bigger question mark is we just haven't seen much from Trey. So you can be optimistic. I'm optimistic, but I don't know. It's tough to say. Mark the Believer says, at Rob Shue, so what's your favorite piece of Niners memorabilia that you have? I see you have some great stuff on the walls behind you. Also a favorite 49er moment. I really enjoyed T.O. and the catch too. I would say my favorite 49er moment is clear. It was the 2011 playoff game against the Saints. I know I saw a bunch of things in the 80s and 90s with Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jerry Rice and Ronnie Lott and all those Niners doing incredible things. I just don't know that I appreciated it at that age. We won so frequently that I didn't know what losing felt like. And then I got a good taste of it. So when 2011 came around, I appreciated what we did, much like I appreciated this year. I think once you realize how hard it is to win in the NFL, you have a different take on what your team's able to accomplish. And so for me, 2011, the end of that Saints game in the playoffs where Alex Smith had the end around behind Joe Staley to the promised land. And then it looked like we got our hearts ripped out of our chests as the Saints drove back down and threw the touchdown to, Jimmy. And then the Niners come back and the catch 3 to Vernon Davis, tears streaming down his face. That one to me is my favorite memory at the moment. Memorabilia, I think it's probably Joe behind me there, Joe Montana that you got right there. I met him I had met him before, had the privilege of going to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Canton, but I actually got that signed in Vegas. He was at MGM for a signing, and I just went up to him and paid to have him sign that, and it was well worth it because he was my childhood hero, no doubt about it. But I got some cool stuff that I appreciate, some cool memorabilia from going to the Super Bowls. I got a lot of good stuff. Keith Murphy coming in. I thought we overused Mitchell. Wilson couldn't have got 6 to 7 carries to supplement the run game. Thoughts? I agree. I think that Kyle Shanahan threw overuse out the window and just knew that we needed to win every single game and that it would be difficult to do so. And I do think he overused Debo and Mitchell a little bit down the stretch. But it's tough to say whether that wasn't needed. I mean, we won in Green Bay by a hair, if that. So it's hard to say that, everything that they did wasn't needed. People joking about me getting something wrong. What did I like? I don't get the joke. I'm glad that people are kidding about that. Probably not even something to joke about, but I'm not sure. Was it because I got Russell Wilson's wife's name wrong? Just because I'm not hip with pop culture? That seems a little strange. We are in a weird place as a world. Noah, at Rob, you did an incredible job this season covering the team, and I enjoyed watching through the ups and downs during the season, and I can't wait for your coverage of the offseason and future seasons. I love that, Noah. Thank you for coming in. Pete, coming in at Rob, how many NFL stadiums have you been to, and which one did you like the most? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have been to 17 stadiums and counting. And I think my favorite might be Minnesota. Lambeau was cool. Lambeau was very cool. SoFi was cool. Candlestick is my favorite stadium. Candlestick is by far my favorite stadium. The nicest stadium I've been to, I think I would say Minnesota. Kim, at Rob, I don't want to see perpetually injured players back. Examples are Mostert and Verrett. I've got a question about that one, so I will get to it in a little bit. I will say I only want those players back when we have filled out the rest of the room. So if you've got a full running back room and then Raheem Mostert doesn't get a deal somewhere else and you can bring him back on a 1-year contract, boom, I will take that. Same thing with Jason Verrett. You have to have suitable players there to fill the positions and then make those guys gravy on top. Ellis 10 at Rob Shue. I'm confident that Trey Lance and company can get 10 plus wins next season and get to the postseason. I believe that as well. This team has so much confidence. Malk the Believer at Rob Shue. That Saints game was amazing, Rob. I remember that one too. Watched it with my girlfriend and brother. That was great. I was there with my brother and my dad. We were there in the stands. Just a phenomenal game. All right, I will get to some of the previously submitted questions and I will be back. I got to the 6 o'clock point in the comments. So if your comment was before 6 o'clock, feel free to copy and paste it back in. Please only do so once so it doesn't flood that chat, which is just full of good stuff. Okay, this one is, would I consider trading any of our big names, Bosa, Warner, Kittle, or Debo, to get some draft capital? Coming in from Ian G. No, I would not. Short answer. I would not trade any of those guys. The prospect of hitting on a draft pick is about 50% in the first round, and then it goes down from there, right? So even if you bring in draft capital, replacing that player with another quality player. I mean, think of the DeForest Buckner move. How many of us regret getting that first round pick for DeForest Buckner? Now, I believe that Javon Kinlaw still could come back, that the knee injury, I think, limited him. I get people who say the jury's already out there, but would you do that trade again? Would you trade away Buckner for that first rounder? That seemed like a good deal at the time. Like it was hard to stomach, very hard to stomach from the loss of Buckner, but you felt like you got reasonable value in the trade is what I intended to say. And it didn't work out. So no, I would not. The Niners can absolutely afford to re-sign both Debo and Bosa to long-term deals that are backloaded to when the cap will explode. And I would much rather pay out big deals this offseason instead of next offseason when the cap is set to explode. 2023, mark my words, will be crazy deals like the NBA in 2016 when a bunch of bench players got 10 plus million per year and those contracts looked horrible in hindsight. Just watch. The NFL will have a bunch of those. All right, next one coming in. What's the offseason move and or position piece that is a must-add address that isn't on the current roster? From Nick B. To me, I go back to it's the D Ford replacement, a book and edge rusher that creates significantly more matchup difficulties for teams that are attempting to double team or chip Nick Bosa. Look back at the pass rush efficiency rates when Bosa and Ford were both healthy and productive in 2019. It was freaking ridiculous. D Ford, for the 9 regular season games that he was healthy and available, registered a 14.1% pressure rate. Bosa in 2021 through mid-December this year was posting the 3rd best pressure rate in the NFL at 14.9%. So that gives you a level of how good D Ford was in 2019. This one comes from Josh Dubow of the Associated Press. The 49ers pressure rate with Ford on the field in 2019 was 32%. The number plummeted to 24.8% when he came off the field. So having that bookend elevated Bosa and elevated everyone else. Rich Hrybar, I think it's pronounced, of Sharp Football Analysis, tweeted that San Francisco's sack rate with Ford was 16.2%. Without him, the number fell to 5.4%. So having that bookend, to me, unlocks the potential of this defensive line. Next previously submitted question. Do you see the Niners trading a player to get a pick in the 2022 first round? If so, which player might they trade and who will they go after in the first round? So my thought here is none of the big name guys are going to get traded, in my opinion. I wouldn't be at all shocked to see a non-blue chip player get traded in a room with depth, perhaps at linebacker. And I don't mean to throw any shade by saying not blue chip. I just mean not elite. Very, very good. But Dre Greenlaw, for a 4th, a 5th rounder, I would say probably a 5th rounder. I know that seems like a bit of an insult to big play Dre, but it's not intended to be. We're deep there. He was not healthy all year long. Teams know that Alshire probably jumped him on the depth chart after his performance and his physicality that he brings to the linebacker core. It's the last year of his contract, so you can't give up too much for a player that's on an expiring deal. And then perhaps a lower level guy as well for a 6th or a 7th rounder as you begin to see where you're deep. But right now, there are only 31 guys under contract. The Niners need bodies, but it's also a fair point to call out that they need those bodies at cheap wages. So fly low. Thank you for coming in with the question. My thought is no blue chip players get traded. The biggest name I could see getting moved, again, Dre Greenlaw. All right, getting back into your comments in the chat. Need a little bit of water. All right, got to get to the super chats. Hope everybody appreciates that as folks spend their hard-earned dollars to come in. Keith Murphy, teams leading by 10 points in the 4th quarter are 19-2 in recent years. The 2 losses are ours. Do you think Kyle will do some self-reflection? I hope so, because as much as I say Kyle Shanahan is not trash, I would not fire Kyle Shanahan, and I think it's madness to suggest that we would. He does need to improve in that area. He gets tight in big games towards the end, and that tightness bleeds down throughout the offensive coordinator, through the quarterback, through the offense. You see everybody get tight. If we lost Mike McDaniel this season, I would actually prioritize bringing in someone who brings a bit more of a Sean McVay type personality, where he's a bit of that, rah-rah type of guy. I think Kyle Shanahan, much like when Debo comes to him and inspires him to call a play for Debo specifically because he inspires confidence, I think he needs an offensive coordinator that inspires him, gives him confidence to make the big calls in the big moments. He needs somebody in his ear that makes him feel like he's untouchable. And to me, it's a personality type that he needs. I'm a little discouraged to hear just continuing to promote from within because, keep doing the same thing. You keep getting the same end result in most cases. I think they need somebody who brings in a little je ne sais quoi. Will Burth coming in. This season was a roller coaster. Gotta ride it no matter what happens. Proud of this team. Thanks, Jimmy G, for everything you've done. Tip of the cap to that one, Wilbur. Tip of the cap to Jimmy G for his contributions, for being a great leader throughout, for taking it on the chin, right? When the Niners tried to bring in everybody, they flirted with every quarterback out there. And Jimmy just, rolled with the punches. And I respect him for it. And I wish him nothing but the best. Couple more super chats, but I see Dylan coming in, and I'm not sure I put Dylan up, so I wanted to. At Rob Shue, I've been more of a casual fan up until recently. What's there to do in the offseason as a fan? There is a lot of information to soak in. If you don't follow college ball, now is the time to acquaint yourself with all of the prospects. There's going to be the combine coming up. There's going to be free agency. There's going to be the draft. A lot of exciting stuff to hit. Stay tuned to the channel because I will keep the content rolling, and this will be a good spot for you to stay filled in. Wanda Brown, I always appreciate her comments earlier. Got to bring this in. Thank you for always being enjoyable and knowing your stuff. See you next season, and whomever asked about trading Kittle or Debo is smoking rocks. Wanda, I love it. You don't have to wait until next season. We will be going all off season. El Soldado Azul coming in. Rob, stop giving them oxygen to flame their ego. Haters will hate, and they hate it when you ignore them. And also, do you think Mostert will play like he used to when he comes back? That's a big question. First of all, I appreciate that. Agree. It's better not to give oxygen to those that are truly just haters. That's what most of them are desirous of. And sometimes I fall victim to it. Sometimes I just have to give them a little ribbing as well. As far as Mostert, I think because he chose to take the entire year, he'll be back to mostly who he is. He's a top-end speed guy, so it's fair to wonder if he will still have that 22, 23 mile per hour top speed after a knee injury. But if it's a one-year deal where he hasn't gotten interest from other teams, I think it's worth rolling the dice, especially if you can fill out the rest of the running back room with solid players that aren't going anywhere. That would be my take on it. Karthik, at Rob, I think Mostert should come back because he's a piece of art. Get it? Haha. Yes, most art. I get it. He will complement Trey and Debo very well and will be the horsepower on the roster with that insane speed, though. I would be totally on board with bringing Mostert back. Again, I'd be on board with bringing Verrett back, just not as cornerback one. Mostert, not as running back one. You need to fill out the rest of the room with quality people that are capable of starting, knowing that you could lose either one of those guys in week one. The failing logic this year was assuming that either one of them was running back one or cornerback one. We went in with them penciled in that spot and didn't have a plan for when things went wrong. Sheep NL, we will see higher score games next season with Trey Lance. I think that's a fair statement. I mean, he definitely brings something that Jimmy doesn't, which is the ability to take those shots, to move the ball with his legs. No question. Wanda Brown coming in. I will tune in for sure. Thanks again. Wanda, you're very welcome. And I love the fact that you support the channel. I appreciate you coming on. Wanda has given me in the comments section of the videos, she's given me compliments on some of my sweatshirts that I've got, some of my gear. I love when Wanda comes in. Thank you, Wanda. I greatly appreciate that. All right, going to try and get back in to finish up some of these previously submitted questions. These are the folks that hit me up on Twitter when I put out every Tuesday morning at around 8 a.m. I ask for your submissions. These are the folks that jump on that, just in case you want to get a previously submitted question in as well. All right, this one is... Ooh, I got to find this because I reworded this. All right, this is the one from Rob. I mean, great name. Great name. An extra B on there, but I appreciate it. The extra B is for best name ever, Rob. Considering their age and injury history, how many teams are really going to pay top dollar for guys like Mostert, Tart, K1, and Verrett? This one is, I think, honestly, all these guys have a chance to be back. All of them. I know that Niner fans want to move on from anyone with an injury history, and I get that. Again, to me, it is only if you're filling out the room with the last guy who can add value, but you already have solid starters throughout. To me, I'm going to rank these 4 players that Rob threw out there on probability of coming back. Probability of coming back. Number 1 in my book, probable to come back, Mostert. Why? Because of his fit here, and I think teams will avoid him because of his injury history. He's a little bit older as a running back. They probably say, well, he's a scheme guy. In Kyle Shanahan's offense, he's great, but he wouldn't be that anywhere else. And he's coming off an injury. So I think that there's the highest probability he comes back. Next one is Jason Verrett, because I think the extensive injury history will keep a lot of teams away from him. He may not get an offer. And I think he's got some appreciation for the team that really gave him a shot after his first set of extensive injuries. Again, the Niners need to address this other places with veterans and with draft picks. To me, it would be icing on the cake if you then are able to get Verrett back on a 1-year deal, very inexpensive. Jaquiski Tart, the safety market is typically, historically pretty weak, and there's the recency bias of him dropping that pick, so there may not be a market for him. But I have my respect for Jaquiski Tart and the way in which he answered the questions after the game. A tip of the cap and a cheers to Jaquiski Tart. Even though he made that miss, he owned it. What else can you ask from the man? All right, and then K'Wan Williams. For me, he's the most likely to get signed because he's a solid nickel corner, and that will draw some interest. To me, It's the age that's a question mark. He's lost a half a step. He's great in the run defense, but not great at coverage. You saw him get toasted again against LA. That would be my lowest priority, and I think the least likely to come back. I think it's a different story for some of our other free agents. Arden Key, Laken Tomlinson, DJ Jones. All of them, the Niners are going to have to pay up for. I think they should try for all 3. I think definitely DJ Jones. You know that. All right, we got another one coming in. What's your take on how bad is Trey Lance that he couldn't beat out Jimmy argument? I first have to acknowledge that even with his limitations, I don't subscribe to that Jimmy sucks narrative. I talked about that earlier. It's hard to beat out a starting quarterback as a rookie. Go back and watch Josh Allen his rookie year. Trey was younger, had less experience. Josh Allen, he got to start, but he was bad. I mean, the tape on him was not good in that rookie year. Jimmy was on a team with a lot of veterans, a lot of guys on 1-year deals, a lot of people that wanted to win the Super Bowl this year. It was hard to beat out Jimmy Garoppolo, even though fans feel differently about him. I think Trey needs this full offseason to truly focus on that throwing motion. I do think that was an issue for him. It's one that you've got to get down before you're in those high-pressure moments. And then next year, we will truly see. I am not worried about Trey Lance. All right, getting back into your comments again. Here we go. Pete saying, I'm not watching the Super Bowl, only the Puppy Bowl. Only positive stuff from here on out. I hear you. I hear you with that. All right, looking for those comments with at Rob Shoe, Karthik, at Rob. I honestly forgot so many guys were still on this roster, even talented players too. This season has just been too much for me. It was a lot. It was a lot this season. Luke Luna coming in. Wanda Brown is GOAT. She don't buy the hater brand. She also don't take dips in the toxic pool. Yes, and I respect that. Absolutely respect it. Paul coming in at Rob, love the content. I will be here all off season long watching. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We will have great content in the off season. Mark my words. This channel will continue to grow, will continue to build momentum, and we will get new things going that are very exciting. All right, looking for the at Rob Shoe comments. Mav coming in at Rob. How about Houston? Cornerback Desmond King on a 1-year, $3 million deal. I need to look into Desmond King. I had done minor research on him the last time around. He was a free agent. You know, I'm hesitant for anything that's just a 1-year deal like that. I feel like we've got to bring in somebody that's not a prove it. If you can get the type of deal we had for Carlos Rogers when we brought him in, that's great. But I'm looking for someone a little more solid. I just haven't started the research yet to truly define who that is. Capri Sun Gang says, at Rob Shoe, what do you think hurt us the most in the Rams game? The inability to run the ball. Unfortunately. And I think it had something to do with running out of gas. Ellis 10, sneakerhead on the channel. At Rob Shoe, I just feel like Trey Lance has a better opportunity to convert third downs. Versus the Rams, the 49ers converted 3 of 9 third downs. Shaking my head. Yeah, they struggled because they struggled with running the ball, so they were in a lot of third and longs. And then they struggled to pass protect, and so Jimmy was under pressure a lot more than he was in Week 18. Those things combined for a poor performance by Jimmy Garoppolo on third downs. I think all of that contributed to a rough day for the offense. Karthik asking, at Rob, have you ever talked to a Niners player in person? Yes, I have several. I went to the Hall of Fame induction for Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott. I had the opportunity to speak to both of them in person. Had the opportunity to shake Eddie DeBartolo's hand. That was one I will never forget. I've spoken to Harris Barton, Roger Craig, Tom Rathman. I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting. I've had a unique opportunity in several instances to speak to some Niners players. Recent ones, no, I haven't. But I will this offseason. Mark my words on that. Quinn coming in, new to your channel. Watching that game in person was heartbreaking. Rams just made the plays to win, and we didn't, unfortunately. Love the show. Cheers to my fellow Ducati owner. Cheers, Quinn. Cheers to those that love Italian motorcycles. Nothing quite like that Ducati red. Maybe Ferrari red. Looking for those at Rob Shoe comments. Leo, another sneakerhead coming in. At Rob, just watched Jimmy G goodbye presser. I was surprised for trade value. More wasn't put on the thumb and shoulder. Seems like it could have shown toughness and excused decline in midfield accuracy a bit. My feeling on that is that NFL scouts know what they have in Jimmy Garoppolo. His more recent performance didn't change what he believed, what they would have believed about him, that he's been consistently inconsistent, as I call him on this channel. And so I think his value to other teams has been established, and that they don't need to play that shell game too much. That whether he was able to take the Niners to the Super Bowl or not, I don't think it would have changed his value too much. I could be wrong about that, but that's my feeling, is that when you're an NFL scout, you have a better sense of someone's ability. And most coaches would probably look at him and say, well, here's his weakness. I can coach him up in that. Luke Luna, another sneakerhead with the super chat. You know I love you, my brother. True, faithful, and human. Luke Luna, I appreciate that. Luke is a tattoo artist. We got to see his tattoo workstation, his store there. Tattoo parlor is the term I was looking for. And there was some, suggestion of, could we do a live stream with a live tattoo happening on Mr. Shoe here? And that may just have to happen at some point. Luke, we're going to have to keep in contact. I thought that was a creative freaking idea. I don't know that I want to be on camera while I'm getting tattooed, but that could be pretty phenomenal. Sheep NL saying, Rob, what's 49ers going to do with D Ford? I think he's going to retire. I was shocked he came back this year, but man, I just can't imagine him trying to come back again. That's tough. Brady, this wasn't at me, but I like this one. Do you think the 49ers should go after Stephon Gilmore? He would be on my list of cornerbacks that I need to do more research about. But he's a name that intrigues me. Absolutely. Tony coming in at Rob Shoe. I hope McDaniel does get the Miami job and the Niners get another third-round compensatory pick. Kyle and D'Amico going to be such fire. Yes, I was actually wrong in stating that, right, the compensatory picks would have been for Rand Carthen and for D'Amico Ryans. It had escaped my memory, having read that, in fact, yes, Mike McDaniel is half black, and therefore he is a minority candidate, and his hiring would compensate the 49ers with a third-round draft pick. And so that is a true statement. I don't want to lose him, though. I think he adds a lot of value in that run game. Emmanuel, at Rob, what about J.C. Jackson if he becomes a free agent? That would be a top priority for me. Top. I don't think we could afford him, though. I think he's going to get paid. GD5, at Rob, I'm already scouting the defensive ends and safety prospects. What would be your main target for our first pick this year? You hit it. Defensive end. Speed defensive end. GD5, hit me up at 49ers Mailbag with any research that you do that you think might add value to the program, and I will get it in and credit you. Pete asking, at Rob, how do I become a sneakerhead? After you subscribe to the channel, at least on Androids and on the desktop version, easiest on the desktop version. Once you subscribe, there's a little join button, and then you join, and there are some options on levels of sneakerhead that you can become, Pete. Mav, at Rob, can you imagine Leonard Fournette paired with Mitchell in the backfield? Ooh, to have a little thunder and lightning? That would be pretty phenomenal. I just don't know about paying for a veteran running back. They do such a good job of bringing in guys through the draft. Okay, here we go. Tony saying, at Rob Shoe, if you can only re-sign 3, which do you pick? Verrett, Tart, Jones, or Mostert? Jones, I assume you're talking about DJ Jones, so that's number 1 right there. Jones, Tart, and Mostert would be my 3. I would leave Verrett off because he has a really long injury history. Really long. Like Mostert's is pretty long, but Jason Verrett, I mean, that guy has been through some things. I would not be shocked if he at some point ended up retiring because of what he's been through. I give him respect for what he's been through. But again, like eventually those injuries do start to take a toll on your body. Niners lady coming in. I enjoy your show. Keep doing you. I don't think Kyle Shanahan is ready to let Jimmy Garoppolo go. Do you think if a deal is made, Niners would keep him? If so, what was Trey's purpose? I do not. I think it is over with Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you watch his presser, go watch Jimmy Garoppolo's presser. Someone asks him, the Niners have said there's a chance you could be back. And he just sort of laughs and smiles. I think that says everything you need to know. Like, is there a chance? Sure. 1 in a million. But the writing is on the wall to me. Jimmy Garoppolo is done. And maybe Kyle will regret that decision. But I think that they forced themselves into that angle when they gave up everything they did for Trey Lance. That's my take. El Soldado Azul coming in. What do you think about Hufanga, the Tongan Tiger? I like that nickname. I think that he could be slotted in as the strong safety if Jaquiski Tartt left. I'm just not convinced that you wouldn't want someone to compete with him for that role. So I would see the 49ers investing either through the draft or more likely through a veteran safety. And that could be Jaquiski Tartt coming back. But I think he'll have to compete for that role. That would be my guess. He'll need to compete for that. EMA Beats, interesting one. At Rob Shue, can we get a mental health check after this painful loss? It honestly takes a toll on some of us losing this way. It was in our hands, and after the McVay meltdown, timeout-wise, we had it. So I agree that we had this one and it slipped away, and I agree that it was very difficult. For me, mental health check personally, I'm good. It was rough. I was sad. I am sad. I will continue to process that. I choose not to allow my sadness to bleed into anger. I see other fans where it immediately shifted to anger and they directed that anger at players on the team. And I believe that's misplaced. I think that is sadness that people don't know how to cope with. I think that is the feeling of loss that people don't know how to cope with. And so it turns into anger and then it gets released at someone because anger is easy like that. When I'm angry, I can be angry at you, right? I can hate you, Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's just misplaced in my mind. And so I choose instead to I think, feel the emotion that's most real to me, and that's sadness. That's sadness that this season doesn't continue to go on, sadness that I don't continue to get to cover the team as they go to the Super Bowl. It doesn't change the fact that I'm going to cover this team and continue to produce content. But yeah, it was rough. But I'm here for anybody who's taking it harder than that, who is stuck in anger or sadness that feels overwhelming. I meant it in my postgame statements that if you're feeling that way and you need to talk to somebody, I'm here. You can email me at 49ersmailbag@gmail.com. I had 11 or 12 people reach out to me after I said that in the post game, and most were positive. Most didn't need any type of consoling. They just wanted to speak with another Niner fan and have somebody listen and process a little bit. And some just wrote in to say thank you. And man, I responded to everyone, and everyone meant something to me. So I mean that wholeheartedly. That if there is anybody who's taking this really rough, and struggling with it in any way, that I'm a fellow Niner faithful, that I'm someone who understands what depression looks like. I'm someone who has been through some things in life. I've lived 43 years. People seem to guess that I'm a little bit younger than that, even though, I'm missing all my hair. But when I tell you this, I mean it. I have been through some shit. In my lifetime, I've been through some things that I think would cause most people to pause in their tracks, cause me to pause in my tracks. And I've risen from those things. And so I know it's possible to get through a lot of stuff. I know this is a long-winded non-Niners answer, but I feel like this is a real question. And I know EMA beats. I respect him and just wanted to take the time to put that out there because people's mental health is important to me. People's happiness is important to me. And I feel like we can impact each other in that way. And trolls don't get that. Trolls don't understand that they may actually be tearing down another human being, or maybe they do and they get some weird, sick, twisted joy out of that. But I don't understand that motivation if that's true. I think they don't understand the impact. I think that they think they're being clever. They think it's funny, but they don't realize that some people are on the edge. And they may be having a bad day. They may be dealing with something in their life you have no idea about. And you don't know what's going to push them towards something dark or bring them toward the light. And I choose to be the force for positive. I choose to be someone that can lift others up. I choose to be nice to people I come into contact with. When I go into the store, when I go into a restaurant, I go out of my way to talk to people, to be nice to people. Because you can tell, I challenge you. The next 5 people you interact with, if you are watching this video right now, the next 5 people you interact with, go out of your way to be nice to them. Listen to them. Ask them how their day's going. Tell them how your day's going. Tell them a joke. Smile. Watch them light up. Watch their face change. It's magic. It is magic. Kindness is magic. That's how I feel. Eric coming in at Rob. Love the show, man. Keep it up. Can't wait for the next season. Was at the game and had a blast with all my Niner homies. I was thrilled to see so many Niner fans there. That was That was a real treat, man. It really was. I loved sharing that moment with Niner Faithful, even though it was a tough one. Ken Fashion Journey. Hey, at Rob Shoe, we continue to be upbeat on this offseason as we gave Jimmy the love and the great send-off. He came in as a young man and leaves as a gentleman. Thank you, Jimmy, for making men out of the boys. Appreciate that sentiment for Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, I got to go through a couple more previously submitted questions because I got a show on Jack Hammer's channel at 7 p.m., and I didn't realize I'd still be going on my channel a little closer to that. I'm having too much fun. Too much fun with all of you. All right, we only got a couple more, so I'm going through these, then I'll be back to your comments in the chat. Okay, this one is three losing seasons in 5 and a track record of mismanaging big games late. How much more of a leash does Kyle get before he's done here? Jason W. says. To me, this one goes into that, like, I don't think he's on the hot seat at all. 2 NFC Championship games, 1 Super Bowl in 5 seasons. Yeah, I get the other 3 were losing seasons, but 2017, he came into a team devoid of talent, devoid of a quarterback. Bobby Hoyer was our quarterback, our best option at quarterback. So 2017, I forgive him. And then we had those 5 wins at the end with Jimmy Garoppolo. 2018, our franchise quarterback blows his knee out. Again, a bit of a mulligan. 2019, we go to the Super Bowl and lose to Patrick Mahomes. 2020 is a freaking global pandemic that throws the wheels off of everything. Everyone on the team blows their knees out, and we're decimated by injury. 2021, we bounce back from 3-5 to go to the NFC Championship game. I don't understand those people that can't see the positive there. I'm not implying that Jason can't see the positive there. I don't understand fans that seem like they can't see the positive there. To me, I think, given this track record, he gets a minimum of 2 more seasons from Jed York. First, acknowledge how hard it is to make the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game in 2 out of 5 seasons. Please, just admit how hard that is to do. And then go back and admit to yourself that we can't pretend we had a chance in 2017. I think he could get fired midway through the 2023 season if both 2022 and 2023 were just awful. But barring that, I think he gets 2 full years to prove what he can do. And even if he were middling in those years, I don't think he'd be going anywhere. Jed is going to want to give Trey Lance the best chance to succeed under the offensive genius that is Kyle Shanahan. You don't want a coaching carousel for a young quarterback. No better way to ensure a lack of success. Next one. Do you feel like the 49ers under or overachieved this year? I feel like they overachieved considering injuries, the presence of Norman in the defensive backfield early on in the season. Jason W. coming back in. I feel like based on my expectations before the season, they ended up right where I thought they'd be. I want to go back and find the video, but I believe I predicted Jimmy Garoppolo would miss 1 game, and I think I put them in the NFC Championship game. I think there's me on record saying that. If anybody finds that, let me know. Or if you find something contradicting that. Preseason, before we got to 3-5. After the 3-5 start, I would definitely say that I lost some faith in my earlier prediction. I thought to myself, man, what did I get wrong? Like, I thought this was a really talented team. I thought that we were deep. I thought that we had a shot. And then we were 3-5, and I had to question myself. After the full season, I feel much more vindicated that my research in preseason and my gut feeling about this team was closer to the reality of it. After that 3-5 start, though, I would say we overachieved. Looking at it from there, the loss of Mostert and Verrett in week 1, the bad start, the chaos of the frickin' locker room, the potential cancer of a quarterback controversy, a rabid fan base that was calling for people to lose their jobs. I am pretty damn thrilled about the season as a whole, while also still really heartbroken at the moment. Last one coming in from Karthik. Who do you think out of the entire roster will put together a very efficient and worthy training camp to earn a spot on the final 53-man roster? Well, this roster's down to 31 players signed for 2022. I would guess that almost all of those 31 will make the 53, as it's too early to guess who's on the fringe of that. But as far as players that I think will be a pleasant surprise in camp for 2022, that's an easier thing for me to answer, Karthik. I'd say the missing 2021 draft class. That's where my hope lies. Aaron Banks, Trey Sermon, and Diamador Lenore. Now, Diamador obviously contributed some, but then disappeared again. Those are my top 3 candidates to wow people in the preseason during camp next year. All right, that is it for the previously submitted ones. We got a couple more minutes. I'm going to get back to your comments in the chat. Got to make sure that I get to all those comments that I can. Steven Mandler coming in. Should we keep Armstead at D tackle? He seems better. I would much rather he play there. That feels like his natural position. It seems to me very similar to what we did to Jimmy Ward early on in his career, that we moved him all around and he couldn't get comfortable in any one spot. Eventually, you get him to the free safety spot and he shines, and Jimmy Ward has come through for us. So that, to me, is what Eric Armstead has gone through. That is where he's at. And now, that's where he should stay. You finally found him, his natural spot. That's where he should stay. All right. Count Club Cheese at Rob. What do you think about getting Earl Thomas? I'd stay away from that now at his advanced age. I don't think that I would bring him in. He seems a little bit out there as well. Steve O Supremo at Rob. We need 2 buys in a 17-week season. I agree with that. Our buy was week 6. That's like 14 games without a buy. Almost a full season. But I guess they're using that as leverage for the 18-game season. Probably good. I mean, probably true. MW 2000. Rob, you are our Niner fan therapist, bro. Thanks so much for being here. I'm definitely going through the stages of loss. Yeah, me too. It's okay to process it. It's okay to feel bad right now. That is okay. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean anything is off. You're just processing. That's my take on it. Karthik at Rob, thank you for your amazing support this season. You're very welcome. Thank you for always bringing the questions and the enthusiasm. Ekim with a prediction at Rob. Bosa will get 21 mil in his 5th year and 30 mil as a free agent. Debo will get around 24 mil. You think Debo's getting 24 mil a year? That seems high. That seems higher than I would guess. My guess for Debo, I would guess that it'll be closer to 28, 29 on average per year for Bosa, and then Debo maybe 21, 22. That would be my take. That's my guess, but just a guess at this point. James, at Rob Shue, would you agree Sean McVay and Andy Reid are every bit as shaky when they have a big lead? The difference is that they have a QB to bail them out. That's a fair question. And let's not forget that Andy Reid faced criticism for the vast majority of his career until he finally did win the big game. It is hard, real hard to win the big one. Chili Odell coming in with the super sticker. Appreciated. Then with the comment, at Rob Shue, I agree we blame these athletes, yet every one of them on the field is in the top 1% of humans athletically. No doubt about that. Think about that when you try to call an NFL player trash. It is not a fair statement. Emmanuel, hey Rob, did you listen to the rap song about you? That's art. Yes, I did. At the very beginning of this video, if you missed it, I gave a shout out to Ev Days who made that. I am so appreciative of Ev for coming through. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. The young Montana. Interesting. At Rob, trolls troll because they're on the edge as well. A lot of them need the most mental help. I think that could be a shot at people that troll, but I don't think it is. I think that that's more of an actual observation. And I think you're right that it is a need for attention at some level. And I have tried to talk to some of the people that come in and sort of clown around a bit in the comments. And often when I show respect, as I think people deserve, they come back with that respect, and I always appreciate that. Tony, at Rob, is it true Cranky pumped in fake crowd noise on Sunday? It felt that way. It felt like the music and everything was played at a level to where it contributed to it being hard to hear in there. Steve Avia, At Rob, what's up, Mr. Shu? I was telling my cousin who is a Rams fan that it's the Bengals' year to win it now since the 49ers lost, and it's the Chinese zodiac year of the something. I can't see that little icon because it's too small on my screen, but I'm guessing it's a Bengal tiger. Sucks for the Rams. Hey, I don't know who I should root for. Some people say, well, you got to root for the team from Cali. You got to root for the NFC West team, but they're our rival. I'm kind of pulling for the Bengals. Luke Luna, at Rob Shu, that's what makes you different than other content creators. That out of all this negativity, whether team or the promotion of it in chat rooms, that's why I said you're human. Thank you. Yeah, I do try to knock out all that negativity. I just don't think it's needed. Here we go. Karthik, at Rob, Jimmy's a true leader in a class act on and off the field. He always keeps it positive. All right. Looking for those at Rob Shu comments to close it out. I know I got to hit somebody's super chat here, so let me get to that real quick because we are running out of time. Again, I'm going to be on with Jack Hammer on his station at 7 o'clock, so I'm just going to run up until I need to grab a glass of water to get on there. Eduardo coming in. Let's go, Trey time. Can't wait. Next year, the team will look better than this year, and that in and of itself is insane. Yes, taking this team to the next level. Imagine this team with the ability to take those big shots. I'm telling you, it's going to be good next year. Pretty exciting stuff. Looking for those last comments to bring in here. Mario Figueroa, at Rob, why does this loss hurt so much? It feels like we lost the Super Bowl. Man, it's tough. And, I don't blame anyone for taking it to heart. It was a tough one to swallow because it was such a special team, because it was such a lovable team. That's why it's so hard for me, because I wanted Debo. Debo deserved to get a Super Bowl ring. Everyone on the team deserved it because of what they fought through. But the Rams pulled out a better game. That is true. Raphael, 5629ers. Appreciate the show, Rob. Like and subscribe, everyone. Can't wait for further content. I appreciate that, and it is about that time. I apologize if you attempted to get a question in and couldn't get it in. If you want to submit it beforehand, that's the best way to ensure that your questions are read on the air. Hit me up at 49ersmailbag@gmail.com anytime throughout the week, or look for my Twitter handle, The Left Shoe. I put out an ask for the questions Tuesday morning for the Tuesday mailbag. So hit me up, follow me there so that you can get in. Man, I'm so appreciative of everyone that supports this channel. Again, if you enjoy the content, I do ask that you like the video to help me promote my message. If you're not subscribed and you enjoy what I do, consider subscribing. If you want to be a sneakerhead, as people have pointed out, you hit that join button and you become a member of the channel in supporting what we're doing here. The content will continue with a passion throughout the off season. I'm not going anywhere. This channel is here to stay, and it's here to stay in a big, big way. It's only going up from here. I appreciate all of you. Again, if you need to reach out to speak with someone, to get something off of your chest, to process this loss, if you're feeling down, email me. I will write you back. I promise that. 49ersmailbag@gmail.com. I'm a human being. You're a human being. We're going through some stuff. That's okay. It's okay not to be okay. Samoan quarterback coming in just to show some love, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody come here to the channel. I appreciate the fact that that you're here listening, that you participate, and I will certainly see you again soon. Until the next time, I'll be back with Random McMahon tomorrow between two beards at 5 p.m. Don't forget, there's going to be a mug giveaway on the program between two beards. Until then, cheers, 49er faithful.